Phil Heath will be joining us momentarily. We are amped up for what that means for our event. It's no secret that long before I took this position, I'm a fan of bodybuilding. And being a fan of bodybuilding means you want to see the best of the best on that Olympia stage. And Phil's announcement, I know, kind of caught some people by surprise. I'm going to tell you a real quick story before Phil joins us. So I decided that I wanted to go ahead and make one phone call as a professional courtesy. So I went ahead and I called our reigning Mr. Olympia, Brandon Curry. And I called him because I felt like, out of respect to Brandon as the reigning defending champion, I wanted Brandon to know before the rest of the world that Phil Heath would be entering this year's contest. So I called up Brandon and I was nervous. I didn't know how Brandon was going to respond. It's natural to think he might not have been potentially thrilled about the idea. Brandon was so genuinely excited that Phil was coming back. Brandon knows what it means to the sport, knows what it means to the contest to have Phil back. And Brandon is just thrilled because Brandon wants to beat Phil. So certainly Brandon understands all too well that the opportunity to compete against Phil Heath and to potentially beat Phil Heath is something that he's real excited about it. I'm sure his motivation has just reached a whole nother level. That's the kind of positivity that surrounds this announcement. A few days ago, if you would ask most bodybuilding fans if Phil Heath would be competing in this year's contest, most of the fans would have said, probably not a shot in hell. Of course, we now know that Phil Heath will be in Las Vegas in December competing in the 56th Olympia weekends. Tickets are available right now to see this man right here, the 7-time Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath. My man, Phil, the last I saw you, you were on the road getting ready to move somewhere. Where'd you end up?
Just further south of Denver. Downtown was a little crazy, with everything going on in the world. I'm sure some people have seen the images and stuff. So wanted to get a little bit out of the city life, kind of get in the suburbs a little bit so I can kind of, focus.
You're locked down. Yeah, it's funny. I think after I took this position a couple of years ago, once I got settled in, one of the first phone calls I made was to you. And of course, that was because everyone knows that for me to have you at the Olympia is a really important thing. I guess that leads me to my question, Phil. Why now? Why was now the right time? I know you've been going through a heck of a personal journey, a professional journey. How did we get to this place where you were feeling like now was the right time?
Simply because that there was fucking unfinished business to take care of. Simple as that.
Since you mentioned it, I know unfinished has been a mantra for you, and I couldn't think of a better way to sort of, capture all the components of what you've been going through. And it really has been a journey of unfinished business. That started in 2018, right? So you come to the 2018 Olympia looking to tie the all-time record, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And of course, the unexpected happened. Sean Roden came in, ready to battle, and he beat you. And I'd have to imagine if you could kind of go back to that night in 2018 and you can think about it for a second, what are some of the things you might have done different?
I would have done absolutely nothing different. Absolutely nothing different. I felt like I trained like I normally should as a 7-time champ would. And I went into it with great intentions of, tying that record. Did not happen. And there's no excuses. The job just did not get completed. And it was unfortunate for me, but at the same time, I looked at it as a challenge for myself. And I made a couple, I did a few different interviews that some people may have seen that pertain to focusing on myself in a different way, not on a physique, but on just focusing more on the man himself, primarily because winning all those titles for consecutive years, life goes very, very fast. And although I felt like I could master that formula of victory, I needed to understand the journey itself. And, the journey was just boom. Like I turned pro in 2005. I had success all throughout. And, of course, winning a lot and then losing. But that loss got me here. And that's something that I'm actually thankful for. I actually had a conversation with Jim Mannion not too long ago, And I told him exactly that. I said, 2018 happened. Regardless of how I felt, win, lose, whatever, it happened, okay? And 19 came. I focused on myself. I still focused on my physique. I mean, which is funny because, shoot, after the second surgery, I wasn't in the gym until like late April, and had everybody believing that I was going to win the Olympia, even you, going into last year. So that gave me a lot of confidence to say, you know what, I was able to focus on a business, with establishing Phil Heath Labs on Amazon Prime weekend. So we were doing that. Real quick, shout out to all my fans out there. Shout out to my team over at TGC. Shout out to my man, Isaiah Thomas. I can't wait to see you back in the NBA. Just want to say shout out to all the fans out there. But, 2019 was great. I turned 40 years old that December. And I was at a week before that, I was at the Dubai Muscle Pro show. I made sure I took some time to reflect. I was sitting outside, jet lagged. I was with Hani Rambod, Hadi Chopin, and friends. And while they were talking in Farsi, I decided to pull my phone out. And I started writing down various thoughts and feelings. And I wanted to use that as my code of conduct and how I want to go back and win number 8. So here I am, very excited, and, let the games begin.
What can the fans look for differently? 2018, now keep in mind, it's been now, by the time you get to the stage this year, it will have been 3 years since you won your 7th Mr. Olympia. It will be 2 years since you last competed by the time you get to the event this year. So the question becomes, what is it that the fans can anticipate seeing from this version of Phil Heath in contrast to what we saw the last time you took the stage?
They'll see a healed Phil Heath. I think we all know what happens if I'm healed, right? I think everybody knows if I'm healed, what will happen.
I always say you're the first Mr. Olympia of the real social media era, right? And I only mention that because it's really impacted the relationship you have with the bodybuilding fans. Mm-hmm. I've been covering this sport for a real long time. And I can tell you that I don't ever remember a champion having as polarizing a relationship with the fan base as you do. Describe, if you would, your connection with the fans, because I know it's always been sort of a hot, cold journey for you, and you're never afraid to connect with fans. You're not afraid to get into it with fans at times. It's something that you've always been you wear your heart on your sleeve. So talk about that relationship with the fans, because for you, I think it's a very unique one compared to other champions we've had.
I actually think I have a very good relationship with my fans, and I think what you're describing is from years past.
Okay.
And I also think it's because of the consistent narrative that vloggers have used to try to get more follows. Let's be honest. There's love and there's hate and there's misunderstanding. And then there's respect. And I feel like I am respected. I feel like my real fans know who I am. They understand my heart. They understand what I've contributed to the sport for years on end. I've seen various people say, what has Phil Heath done for the sport? And I'm like, gosh, I've done quite a bit. And, Dan, I had a charity event at the Arnold Classic for 7 years in a row, for autism awareness, and people would dare to say these things, right? And yes, I would respond because I was misunderstood. And, that's just, that was something that was very difficult early on because of those other pros and other champions did not have to go through. During that time where I was, not competing, I realized, damn, man, like, I have a lot to be proud for. I have a lot of cool things to be excited about.
Right. So,
you're going to have trolls. I mean, the minute the announcement went, it was probably 99% positive. And then you're going to have someone that wants to be the anti-Phil guy because it will provide them clicks. And, I'm very happy about everything, to be honest, because you can't have everybody like you in life. And I think a lot of people that may be watching And there's a lot of pros out there too that want to be liked so fucking bad. They just want to be liked. So for me, it's like, it's not about being liked. It's about me doing what I want to do in this life. And if I have the privilege to inspire other people, man, that's just icing on the cake. And it is going to come with some negativity or whatever, but that is not anything to do with me. That is their perception of themselves, right? That has nothing to do with me. People will misunderstand you. They will make up their own narratives about you. All that matters is how you feel about yourself. I'm not out here hurting anybody. I'm not in the newspapers doing wrong. I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm doing it at a very high level. And at the end of the day, you got to just let them do them and you do you. And that's why I'm here to once again put my name on the dotted line, come to the show, and I know I'm going to be received with much more love than the hate.
There's a lot of truth in that, and I think you really said it in a way that goes far beyond any bodybuilding stage. So
thank you.
Very well said. Speaking of greatness, the Mount Rushmore of bodybuilding, if you will, includes Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney, and they sit there side by side, and the two of them have been sort of all alone together for now 15 years. It's been 15 years since Ronnie won it for the 8th time. And I know, Phil, that's a number that you have known about for as long as you have stepped foot in a gym for the first time. It is the number in the sport of bodybuilding, 8-time champion. Talk about what that means to you as you begin a contest prep that, if successful, would put you in a place that few could ever dream of.
Well, the quick answer would be unreal. Primarily because who gets into this sport saying, I'm going to be 8-time Mr. Olympia? I became a bodybuilder after not making it to, the next level of basketball, right? So I'm, one door closed and another one opened. And then when I progressed into, getting ready to turn pro and stuff like that, I mean, Ronnie Coleman was the champion, of course. So, of course, although I was friends with Jay at the time, I'm looking at the champ and I'm looking at, like, this is the guy. Like, this is the guy that everybody's trying to beat. What makes him so special? And then I watched the Olympia of '98 on VHS, and I just watched everything, watched every athlete. And I just fell in love with, the sport and what those two guys, went through. So, yeah, when you talk about the Mount Rushmore, I mean, obviously those two are on it. I personally think I'm already on it, because you got 4 people. You got, this guy named Arnold Schwarzenegger. But when you talk about the 2 highest, man, they won 8 in a freaking row, man. That's something that I didn't do.
Right.
Another level. And I remember watching Ronnie. I think my first Olympia was, 2005. I was able to watch Ronnie win his 8th title, but I also got to hang out with him. And courtesy of Hani Rambai, shout out to the pro creator, but got to hang out with him after his after party and got to see, like, what it was like backstage, or not, like at the after parties. Where do you go eat? What do you do? And I hung out with him till like 7:30 in the morning. I was like, hey, Ronnie, I'm getting ready to turn in. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm about to go do this photo shoot. I'm like, you're going to go do a photo shoot? It's like, yeah, I'll do a photo shoot, and then I go do the seminar. I'm like, this guy didn't sleep. But what was cool about this story is that I got a chance to see what an 8-time champion, what it was like in that arena. I got to see what it was like afterwards with his friends and his family. And I had the privilege of hanging out, firsthand, of being able to have that story. So it means a lot to me, being able to chat with Ronnie. I've toured with Ronnie for years. He's obviously one of my favorites of all time. Lee Haney has always been a great gentleman for me. He's given me great advice, great perspective. Who doesn't love Lee Haney? But at the end of the day, I mean, I would be honored to share that Mount Rushmore with those 2 guys. I mean, that's what I'm training for.
I saw some of the most positive responses when this announcement came down the other day, came from some of the guys that you're going to be competing against. I saw Of course, you heard me tell the story of Brandon Curry earlier. You heard, you saw the response from Dexter Jackson. You saw the response from Flex Lewis. It seems like everybody is just real excited, even the folks who actually stand to be the most inconvenienced by the fact that you're back in the show. Talk about what it means to you to kind of get that sort of positivity from the folks that you're actually going to be going to battle with in December.
I think there's a camaraderie within bodybuilding, but I also believe that they're going to use me as motivation. You know, I'm sure there's some sentiment there of like, you know, camaraderie, like it's going to be great to share the stage with you and may the best man win and all that shit. But primarily, I'm not buying these tricks. I know it's probably because they're using me as their antagonist so that they stay on target, they stay diligent in their process. But, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, champions do champion shit. And we don't motivation from others. We look at it from within. And that's what I do.
So December 18th, 2020, prejudging for the 2020 Mr. Olympia will take place. And Phil, for those people around the world who don't know it, what else is happening on December 18th, 2020?
Well, I'll be 41 years old on the 18th of December. But most importantly, I'll be competing at the Mr. Olympia contest at prejudging.
As far as you're concerned, I'm sure you couldn't imagine a better birthday present that weekend than an 8th standout trophy. What do you think?
Of course. I mean, I definitely looked at it as also a great opportunity for me because I had already made my mind up a while ago that I was considering coming back after 2019. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, job's not finished until December 19th, and I'm walking away with the title.
For those who haven't seen it, head on over to muscleandfitness.com. There's a great interview that Phil did for us at Muscle and Fitness just moments after the big announcement, and it kind of provides a little more insight on some of the things that brought Phil to this place and to this time. VIP tickets are on sale, MrOlympia.com, and everybody is just real excited. And I'll let you have the last word before we get out of here.
Thanks, Dan. I just want to tell everybody thank you. I want to shout out my team over at TGC, the Garcia companies. Thank you. It's been a great journey, and I'm very excited for our team. I'm obviously excited. To the fans, I told you I never retired. I kept telling you guys that I would never leave you hanging like that. You heard it from me first. I wasn't retiring. It just took time to reflect, and I'm back. Thanks, Dan. Thank you for this opportunity. And be sure to grab those tickets. Obviously, I'm going to be there. And to all the competitors, nothing.
That's it.
Later.
We're out.